Calculating with trigger on end inventory shows the items that are even more critical than the items that go below zero or safety stock in the period. So if I'm not setting the check mark on trigger on end inventory and I'm calculating my critical items, I will have some items with a positive end inventory in the period. So in this scenario, I can see I have quite a few items where the end inventory in the calculation period is positive. And if I'm looking at the graphical profile for those items in the same period, I can see that in this scenario, for instance, my end inventory is 22, meaning I do have enough items ordered or enough supply coming in. I just have mix up in the dates, so I need to move some of my demand dates or my supply dates to make this not go to zero. So I do have a breach on my safety stock in the period, but I'm not going to order more items, just moving dates. Therefore, it's possible to calculate critical items, setting the check mark trigger on end inventory, which will only display the lines that has a negative end inventory, meaning we need to replenish these items. So if I'm looking at one of my other items in here in the period, I can see that the end inventory is negative, so overall I need to do some replenishment. This field also relates to my forecast level, so if I'm including forecast in the calculation, it's of course included. So for instance, the lower item here, the last item is minus 55, but that's actually because I calculated in my selection, including the forecast, and that is taken into account. This means if I'm looking at the graphical profile for this one, including forecast, I can see here that my end inventory is actually negative only due to the forecast, but my true end inventory is not. So there's a lot of flexibility in the way you use the check marks, end inventory, include forecast, and include planning lines.